Hello! Welcome to my September and October wrap up. I didn't do one last month, so I thought I would compile both September and October together. The only problem is, this leaves us with 22 books to get through. You coming up? So I'm going to try my best to make this the speediest wrap up I've ever done, and I'm just going to get on with it. I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Quick description. There's a wedding on a small island and someone dies, and you get a lot of different viewpoints and it's very twisty turny. There's lots of terrible people in here doing terrible things, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I would definitely recommend it if you like twisty mysteries. Next, I was getting into the spooky season with House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I really loved Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, so I thought I'd pick this one up. This is about blood maidens who are in servitude to noble households, give them blood for them to drink. It's about power dynamics and feminism, and it's got lesbians in, and it's a really interesting read. I didn't like it as much as Year of the Witching. I gave it 4 stars, but I still would recommend it as an interesting horror. It has lots of good descriptions and interesting power dynamics, and again, lots of terrible people. Isn't that fun? The next section of books I read for my 24-hour reading video. So if you want to hear more about them, go and watch that. I listened to Elder Race by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I gave it 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Would recommend it. My first Adrian Tchaikovsky, and I have since read from him again and enjoyed it as well, so I would recommend going and finding out more about that. I read Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. A rather silly book, I would say. If you want something kind of ridiculous but a good fun time, I would recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. I picked up a manga, Hirayasumi, Volume 1. Very sweet, very easy to read, beautiful artwork. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's by Kiego Shinzo. It's very heartwarming. My favourite book of the video was Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Meyer. I still don't know how to pronounce her surname. This is the sequel to Apprentice to the Villain. I gave this 4.5 stars. If you like the first one, I think you'll like this one. It's pretty true to what the first one was like. It's just a continuation, and it has the same vibes and the same silly storytelling. I also read Heartstopper Vol2. I liked this one better than the first one. I find it hard to connect to graphic novel characters sometimes because you're with them for such a short amount of time. But again, if you like the first Heartstopper, I think you'll like the second one. This is by Alex Oseman. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. Finally, I read Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. This is very true to form Ali Hazelwood. If you like her other books, I think you'll like the short stories in here. I gave it 3.75. There was nothing surprising, nothing fantastic, but if you like Ali Hazelwood, I think you'll like this. Now, some books I haven't spoken to you about. I decided to pick up some of the books from the Booker shortlist. I picked up Orbital. This is about 6 astronauts living on a space station, and you're following them through a day as they look down on Earth, and it's just a very meditative book. It's thinking about humanity, it's thinking about the human race, it's thinking about families and friends, and it's very short. It's a very quick read. It was a very easy read. If you like descriptions of visuals, I would say this is a good book. It had a lot of good imagery about looking down on Earth and what it's like to be up in the space station and experiencing that perspective. I gave it 3.75. It's very low plot. There is no plot. So if you can deal with that kind of meditative, introspective book, I think this is a good one. It's by Samantha Harvey. I also picked up Stoneyard Devotional off the Booker shortlist, and I would say it's pretty similar in tone to Orbital. It's a bit longer. It's about a woman who escapes from her life to go and live with a religious community of nuns. Again, very low plot. There are these kind of 3 challenging situations that come up, which are outlined in the synopsis, but they're not dramatic situations. They just help her reflect on things. It's written kind of as a diary, and again, very meditative, very slow, very internal. I wouldn't rave about this book. It's by Charlotte Wood. I gave it 3 stars. I think there are good things about it and bad things about it, but it's not great if you're looking for something action-packed or high intensity. This is a very low intensity book, and if that's your vibe, give it a go. I'm going to talk about 3 audiobooks that I listened to in September. All 3 of them are rereads or re-listens for me. They're kind of comfort books for me, some of which you will have definitely heard of, and a couple, maybe one of which you won't have, which is Hush Little Baby by James Carroll. This is a book series about a character called Jefferson Winter, who used to work as an FBI profiler and now works freelance. And Hush Little Baby is one of the 3 novellas that introduces the character when he's in his early 20s and teams up with an FBI agent to solve some murders. I gave it 4 stars. I love this series. I really enjoy the audiobooks of them because the narrator does a really good job at personifying Jefferson Winter. He's a very interesting kind of eccentric character, and the audiobook narrator does a really good job of bringing that character to life. I also listened to Swordheart by T. Kingfisher. This is a cozy mystery following Hella, who is left an inheritance, gets trapped by her family, and draws a sword intending to unalive herself, and out of the sword springs a magical ancient warrior. That may not sound like a cozy premise, but it is a very small story. It's very character focused. It is a romance. It's very funny. I really love this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. It will probably be something that I consume over and over and over again in the future. And the audiobook is great. The last audiobook I listened to was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I read the book previously and listened to it on audio this time because there's an element of the book that is supposedly very good in the audiobook. And I will say it is good, but it doesn't happen a whole bunch of times. I gave the whole thing 5 stars. I think the audiobook is a great way to consume this book if that's how you like to consume books. I love Project Hail Mary. It was one of the very first sci-fi books that I ever read. I recommend it all the time. It's really easy, it's really accessible, it's not too science heavy or confusing, and it's really character based, which is something I really like. It's about a man who wakes up on a spaceship with no memories and has to figure out why he's there and what he's supposed to do. It's a very conversational writing tone. It has a lot of funny moments, but you do come to really care about the main character, and there is kind of a twist partway through that I really enjoyed. So if you don't know much about the book, don't look it up because that could very easily get spoiled for you. And I think it's quite an interesting place to start. Next, I read 2 books for the Reading Full Romance Books video. I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore, which I gave 4.5. This is the sequel to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe book that has been going viral this year and last year really. Really good read. Not quite as autumny as I wanted it to be, but I gave it 4.5 stars. Would recommend it if you want something cozy and fun and lighthearted. Definitely a good pick for a kind of transition from summer to fall book. I also read Kindling by Bonnie Woods, which I gave 3.75. For this one, I wouldn't recommend the audiobook. I started with the audiobook and I found the characters insufferable, and when I switched over to the Kindle version, I enjoyed it a lot more. It's quite light-hearted. It's about a woman going through a kind of life crisis. It's small town set in Scotland, so if you want something easy and fun, I did like it. Go and watch the romance vlog if you want a more detailed insight into it, because I do talk about it a lot more there. The last book that I didn't read for a video is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is a literary mystery book. I've seen people call it a thriller. It is not a thriller. It's definitely a mystery. It's historical, set in the 70s. There's a summer camp for wealthy children, and one of the members of the summer camp goes missing, and this is especially interesting because her brother went missing from the same summer camp years before. I gave it 3.5. If you like mysteries, I think you'll like this. I liked all of the perspectives we got. It's very focused on the female point of view. All the characters that you get a point of view from are women, apart from one. It is a story heavily revolving about what it is like for women and girls in that time period, and the struggles they face, the challenges they face, the way they've been brought up to understand their role in society. It is very focused on that. So if you're interested in that aspect, I would definitely pick this up. It's quite a nice vehicle for those conversations to happen through. I tend to like slightly more fast-paced books than this was, but I did enjoy it. The next book I picked up because of the scavenger hunt I did. It's The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is a cozy sci-fi. I had a pretty good experience reading it, and then I got to the last 100 pages and was absolutely destroyed by it, so I gave this 5 stars. Go and watch the scavenger hunt video because it's kind of hilarious to see me talking really mildly about this book and then in the next clip absolutely just bawling my eyes out. It takes a while, but this book earns the emotional impact that it delivers at the end, and I just absolutely loved everything about it, if I'm honest. I'm not going to go into the plot, but go check out that video if you want to know more about it. Then we come to the books that I read during my 200 pages a day challenge. I started with the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I gave this 3.75 stars. I go into detail about all these books in the 200 pages a day challenge, so I'm just going to do a quick review here. I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed Grady Hendrix's writing style. I wanted it to get a little more silly than it did, but if you're looking for a realistic-ish horror set in the late 80s, early 90s from a female perspective, I would really recommend this. It's a nice twist on classic horror tropes to have it from a housewife's perspective rather than from a teenager's or from a male perspective. I really liked that. It's a nice commentary on friendship and things like that. I would recommend this book. I just wanted it to get a little bit more crazy than it did, but it is pretty gory. I picked up Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. I gave this 5 stars. I love S.A. Barnes' writing. I cannot get over the atmosphere she builds. It's spooky the whole way through from start to finish. You really feel uncomfortable, and I really love that. It's sci-fi horror based on an alien planet. It has a lot of conversations about psychology and things like that because the main character is a psychiatrist. I would recommend S.A. Barnes to practically anyone. She is my current favourite author. It's fabulous. 5 stars. Loved it. Service Model was the second book I read from Adrian Tchaikovsky. Cozy, sci-fi, parable of a book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think this book is great. Don't think you should read it when you're sleep deprived because you might miss the messages like I did. It's a really good conversation about humanity and where we're going to go in the future and whether we should be heading in those directions. Some of the kind of scary things that humanity could get up to in the future. Really good insight into humanity. Good cozy time. Good cozy time. It's gonna fall over. Oh, I wedged it. Okay, final book. The Dallergut Dream Department Store. This is kind of short stories from a singular perspective about a woman who works in a department store that sells dreams to sleeping people. Shh, I'm busy. I don't completely understand how the magic works in this, but it's very cozy, very whimsical, very light-hearted, very fun and interesting, and has a lot of kind of fantastical magical aspects. It's by Mai Lee and I gave it 3.5 stars. I would recommend this to anyone who loved Before the Coffee Gets Cold or The Traveling Cat Chronicles. That kind of segmented episodic storyline focusing on different themes in each one. I enjoyed it and I think you could too. I realised I missed a book. I have my list in front of me and there's a book that I just haven't talked about at all, and that is Hide by Kirsten White. It's a shorter horror book about a group of contestants who go to an abandoned amusement park to play hide and seek for money. The main character has a reason why she is specifically good at hide and seek. Mysterious and creepy things start happening. I gave it 3.5. It's silly. A lot of people feel like it reads quite young, which I think I would agree with, but it is quite fast paced. It does have a sprinkling of social commentary. I enjoyed it. That is the 22 books I read in September and October. I would say it was pretty good reading month for me. Lots of 4.5s, quite a few 5 stars. I really enjoyed my rereads. I would recommend most of the books I read to someone. Not to everyone, but I think someone out there could love each of these books. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. My battery's gonna die any second, but I hope you enjoyed the wrap up. If you've read any of these, let me know, because I'd love to talk to you about them.